Ladies and gentlemen, it's Darkstar Gaming League, Week 3. Let's go! Team Never Content versus Anubis1. I'm your host, the camera guy, the frontline man, the guy that goes over here and then goes over there to place them wards, Army Overlord. And here with me happens to be a good friend of mine who happened to cast not too long ago and is now casting again here. Ladies and gentlemen, the man, the myth, the legend himself.
I don't have as many names, but I do go by one. And what's going on, everybody? My name is X Don, waiting for this amazing series to go ahead and start up. One of our top teams here, Never Content. Can they pull out another victory here today against Anubis1? It is expected. It is definitely expected. Anubis1 towards the bottom of the bracket, but upsets could happen. We are in a new patch. This is basically League of Legends 2.0. I'm excited. I know anything could really happen. I've seen great players fall drastically because of this patch. I've seen players who weren't as good have their champs highly positively affected. New things are being found every day. Everything's broken. Everything's busted. It's the league I like. This should be a good match.
Strong finish, man. Strong, and hard-fought finish. But let's see what these two teams have in store for the type of strategy they're going to apply into this one. Are we still seeing the level 7s? Sorry, not level 7s. I mean Season 7s coming out here. Are we still seeing this? Is that still going to happen?
I don't know. I think in this series, the people will probably start trying to break out the new stuff, maybe going outside of the comfort pool. And you were right, though. Will we see more level 7s, champs that these people have played over and over and over and over again? You know, when you get that Mastery 7, you can pretty much say, like, all right, I'm a pro. Like, but I don't know. There's just so much to experiment with and so much potential in these games. To see the same thing over again is pretty much improbable at this point.
Right. Well, from what I can understand, both of these teams here are coming off of kind of the opposite type of standings. Never Content is currently sitting at a really nice win-loss ratio, although in their standing it's probably could be a little bit bigger. I think they might want to try shooting for their third win here against Anubis. Well, Anubis is having a lot of struggling weeks so far. 2 losses currently. Very rough games for them. They have been really finding ways to get more of what they're looking for from the meta here. And honestly, I'm not entirely sure on how both teams are kind of going to really settle out their chances of victory here. My biggest concern for Anubis right now is what do I need to do to start making some impact, making some difference here? Is it search through what worked in Season 7, or is it try to break some mold here and try something brand new to throw these teams off balance? That is honestly going to be a very tough question, and I hope Anubis will be able to answer that momentarily. Well,
they've had all week to practice. I mean, the only way you can go from the bottom is up.
Exactly. And let's hope that the ceiling that they're shooting for is very, very, very high, because they're definitely going to need it to go as successfully as that. Oh my goodness! It looks like I just got this lobby just been currently removed. Hold on one second, folks. Let me go ahead and take a look at what the situation is.
Small technical difficulties. I'll go ahead and cover for Army while he's rebuilding the lobby. But really, you're just looking at two teams that are on the opposite end of the spectrum. I said this already. I'll go ahead and I'll say it again. Team Never Content, they could be, forgive me for using their name, they could be content right now with where they're at. Maybe they haven't practiced as hard. Maybe they see this as an easy win. Unfortunately, you can't view games like that anymore with everything changing. If you're not keeping constantly up to date with all of the new abilities, with all the new champions that are currently being played, you're simply going to be behind as far as game knowledge and as far as things people are going to bring out at you, especially in a best of 3. Could they bring it all out in the first game? Yeah, that's absolutely possible, but there is just limitless possibilities here. And just a further stretch on that point, you have Anubis1 towards the bottom. They've had a week to look at this game and be like, all right, this will be a pretty tough one. Can we maybe throw a curveball? Can we do something that isn't expected? All right, maybe let's not lock in the traditional Sejuani J4. Let's go for one of the new Predator junglers. Olaf with the Predator boots, absolutely disgusting. Rammus with the Predator boots. Hecarim with the Predator boots. The jungle pool has been opened massively. To see J4 and Sejuani continuously be locked in, I don't think that's going to happen this series. We should absolutely see some exciting picks.
So, this is hard to cut you off there, X-Don, but I think I'm having a very strange client bug happening right now. I just tried to invite you. Did you even get anything?
No, I'd restart your client.
All right, I think that seems like the wise decision here. Well, folks, then I'll be momentarily right back. So enjoy the black screen until I can get it fixed out again. Still, really bizarre thing that's been happening so far with this client stuff. More and more of the same type of bugs, but this one seems to be the latest bug that seems to be occurring. I hope I can now invite people as I get the next lobby set up, but wow, it's going to be a really weird introduction for the YouTube video.
All right, we're bringing it back. Forget everything we just said. Take 2.
Take number 2. Alright, well, let's see how this is going to work out here. I'm getting some messages as well from other people, so let's see what those are about as well. What a... Again, for what I can tell, hopefully this should be this should fix my problem. Yep, there we go.
There we go. Alrighty. Something went wrong. Please try again.
Oh my god. Okay, hold on.
No, well, let me join.
Alright. Did it work this time?
Still nothing. I'll relog. Bugs everywhere. Please nerf.
Please nerf the bugs, Rito. Please. I really wish the usual client bugs go away, but you know, it is. You know, sometimes you just kind of have a bad set of eggs. You know, when you're cooking something and then you smell that the eggs taste bad. You know, sorry, you smell that the eggs could possibly be rotten. You just throw out the eggs, and then you just make yourself a brand new batch.
Or do you take the chance and still use those eggs? Because there's the potential there. Because eggs just smell bad anyway. Okay, I relogged and I'm able to join the lobby. So if somebody could send that as a message, that's the fix.
All right, then let's go ahead and resend those invites again. Hopefully we can actually make the catch and get these invites.
You know, they can't say that these games are scripted, because we obviously have no idea what's going on.
Not a single clue. Wink.
Or is this part of the script? To throw them off the trail. This is actually masterfully written by some of the greatest writing minds this world has ever seen.
The greatest. It was all an outplay the whole time. Just gotta wait.
And then someone dies, because all great stories end in some fashion.
Of course. You know, tears shed, sadness brought in. You know, some family members had to have been at least eradicated in some fashion. But that's when the hero rises. And that is what I'm hoping Anubis is able to make happen.
That's a little one-sided.
Well, I have faith in... I mean, everybody happens to know that the matches are going to be great. And I can't wait to watch them. I'm hoping for some great and well-crafted gameplay. But until then, I'm still kind of wondering what's going on between Never Content here. They definitely have not fully accepted the request. They're certainly just sitting in the lobby at this current time. So I'm trying to figure out what's going on with that. That's the real question. Let's see. This was last minute switch.
The invites are being thrown out. People are accepting. The plays are being made. Teams are filling up on both sides of the roster. Oh my god, it's going to be a race to the finish. No, not really. It's still really slow.
I would imagine it imagine the race wouldn't be that fast. Sadly, it's not that hype. Although I wish it was. I wish it was.
So we should have mini games pre-lobby. So it's like the team that gets in here the fastest gets a competitive advantage.
You know,
it's like you can run out.
They'll run out of the base like
5 seconds earlier.
Yeah. I was actually gonna say like their movement speed would be 1 stat higher than their opponent. That's what
I don't know. That could cost for some pets.
What?
1 movement speed higher.
Oh, pet. That's what I heard. Could cause a pet. I hope families at home be very careful when watching this. Who knows what'll happen to your pet? Okay. Silly jokes aside here, 4 members of one side has joined, and it is on the side of Never Content, but I cannot seem to have anybody on the side of Anubis1 joining. So this is a bit of a strange circumstance, really. Well, for my situation here, I think I might have to see what I can do to add one of them here. That's kind of unfortunate. They do know where my stream is, so hopefully one of them can come over here and like send me a friend request so I can accept them and we can get this going. Let me just take a look over in the general lobby again to make sure I can possibly add one of these guys. Well, bit of a shaky start here, folks. I don't know if Anubis can, simply add me here, but... So then we're still gonna have to give this a bit of a wait. I hope Mohawk the Gamer can,
Is your friends list full?
It's not full. I don't think so. Maybe there's a chance, perhaps. I'm gonna go ahead and see if that is the case. Alright, well, I got rid of about 3 people here, live on stage.
They weren't your friends anyway.
The truth is they weren't, they were just happened to be Twitch people. That's it. Yeah, this is, again, pretty strange. I wonder if Cap... I see Cap in the lobby. Maybe he's finally going to get everybody in gear and figure out what's going on from there. But, yeah, a bit of a slow start here. In fact, it's been 20 minutes since we started this thing, and it looks like for our YouTube video, this would be the part where you skip this part of the video and wait for the actual gameplay to happen. Whoo, baby.
You gotta play the music, Army, so we can stop talking.
You know what? You're right. Let's go ahead and turn that up a little bit while we wait. We'll be momentarily right back as we are still waiting for everybody to get into the room. I love this music. Big fan. I just finally got to a pretty decent song. Bit of a shame, though, but it looks like finally every member appears to be here. I think we can finally get this thing underway.
This is the moment we've all been waiting for.
Exactly enough of the time we've waited for. It's
Alright.
finally game time.
It's time to bring back up the hype. Team Never Content versus Anubis1. Top versus the bottom. We're now in Champ Select. New meta, let's go! Nidalee already being banned out. Not common at all.
Indeed.
Nice,
So
nice
somebody
change of pace.
definitely took a look into the others' match history currently, and found that Nidalee happened to be very commonly played. So once again, Anubis is taking out a pretty interesting little squad they got out here. Definitely much different from the one I saw last time. A lot of new faces here, but still some with the ADC, Ultraviolet Snacks, seems to still be out there and able to play. So good for him. Hopefully this new crew and the new team chemistry that I hope they forged will be able to give Never Content a good fight and a good run for their money. Because as I say, team chemistry is a solid foundation for a good, successful game.
We have all of the junglers being banned so far. 4 already off the board. The Ezreal could have been ADC. Both are pretty busted right now.
Oh, yes.
But no teams are going to be able to have these pretty high-pressure early junglers. Finally abandoned one of the other lanes. Rakan taken off the board. No engage. No quick engage, I should say, coming in from the bot side. We'll see. We'll see if they go ahead and draft something else.
Well, I'm honestly mostly curious at what the first option is. With J4 gone, the hot pick of Darkstar Gaming, which happened to be J4, just in case anyone didn't understand what I meant, is banned out. So that means for once we're actually not going to see a J4 in this matchup here. Let's see what Little Green makes for his first pick. Probably I would think you want to go support or ADC. Oh, there we go. Tristana actually. Right off the bat. Takes the Tristana, locks it in, securing it for a Bay. We'll be going up against Ultraviolet Snacks with that ADC. But as for Mohawk the Gamer, he's certainly flipping his coin between the Poppy and Maokai at this time. Tree or a giant hammer? Or a cow?
It is very tempting. All picks being taken in consideration, but they banned the Rakan. They didn't want the big knockup coming from bot lane, so what do? They go ahead and draft the other champion that does the exact same thing. I'm not sure I agree with the super early Tristana pickup here. I don't think it holds that much priority. We'll see if I'm proven wrong. Maybe it was a huge takeaway from Ultraviolet Snacks on Anubis. Definitely a possibility.
I could see that as a good one as well. Abe definitely wanted to see if he can get that Tristana to be a very powerful force here. So far, 2 A's taken. Alistar and Amumu secured for their team. So that's like a lot of control of their environment around them. They kind of can get right onto the target, hit some really strong CC, and then, you know, kind of keep people right into place. So that's going to be pretty strong if they can get themselves a fed mid laner or a fed ADC. Yorick has been secured here for Little Green, as we might be seeing a lot of strong split pushing options. Yorick has currently been one of the most winningest top laners that I've been hearing all around the place, as Yorick will be making his first debut appearance in Darkstar Gaming's history today.
I do like the real sudden switch from they see a huge team fight potential locked in for the side of Anubis, so they go ahead and lock in the split push monster, who is Yorick, to try and say, hey, we don't really want a 5v5. You're going to have to send somebody to stop this guy.
Right, and that might be a little tricky for everybody else. Veigar has been selected as well here. Amumu is the type of champion that can really punish champions that can't immediately defend themselves, and Veigar kinda is that in a small way. I mean, it's not like Veigar's completely defenseless. He does have his playpen, the stun, one of the best stuns in the game. I believe it's 2.5 seconds of stun ratio, which is very powerful. But Amumu is just the type of one where if you don't have it prepped in advance, that's a stun and then an ultimate. You know, Veigar's not going to be able to move, and some big burst damage will be able to come through if coordinated correctly.
Yeah, Kog'Maw definitely has a huge frontline him for already drafted. I don't think it's completely necessary. I do think there's other ADs that are kind of like on the same pace. Getting to that Kog'Maw late game kind of gives you a little bit of a hindrance early, especially if you're trying to make plays around the map with as much CC as you have. You have to make sure Kog'Maw is ready to fight in some of these cases. Tristana does go online a little bit earlier.
Right, and one of the problems that Kog'Maws usually have is peel and direct, separation, and that's kind of a little bit difficult for an Alistar and a Moo to do, in my opinion, because Alistar's more like the playmaking type of support. He just kind of makes the play happen. Kog'Maw could follow up, but it might take some very precious seconds for Kog'Maw to get into a nice position in that bot lane. So that's kind of the biggest issue, especially when it comes to communication. It's like very vital that Kog'Maw gets right where he needs to be for Alistar to make his engage work well.
Yeah, positioning for Ultraviolet here is going to have to be absolutely crucial, because if Vygar gets close enough, he can just point and click you. So it's going to be extremely key that he stays very far behind his front line.
Well, it definitely seems like they want to hold down some targets here. Malzahar being selected as well. They're definitely planning on holding the targets long enough for Kog'Maw to eat them alive. It definitely seems to be a good strategy, but I don't know exactly if it'll work well in this environment. Yorick is still going to be a problem, so they're going to have to hope that the champion they take to counter the Yorick here is going to work, because what they've got here, if they do a 4v4, they have a lot of hold the target down, but they don't have a lot of consecutive damage where you can just have it looks like Hopper's going to go Soraka here from what I can gather. I would imagine that's a good option here, I would say.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to see this Zac locked in. Brings great ganking potential early, especially against the Amumu. He could invade if he wanted to, although it is a tank v tank matchup. Amumu is not strong at all early. Even when he gets to level 6, he needs items to back himself up. Poppy locked in top lane, maybe to counter the Zac. It's going to be a little bit of rough in that matchup. I do believe York bullies out for the most part.
It's definitely a bit of a game of little bit of the game of fatigue here. Poppy's kind of more known for having a lot of armor, a lot of protection in that early environment, especially considering Poppy's in this stage of the game happens to have a lot more self-protection. But the way that percentage health damage works with Yorick now, I feel like Yorick has a kind of a statistical advantage over the Poppy here. You have the minions, and then when the ultimate eventually comes out too, that's going to do percentage health damage. And E does the same thing, and that's AP. So there's just multiple things that Poppy would have to be dealing with, and I don't know if the traditional Cinder Poppy build would work well here. But let's see if Poppy is going to be what they need to just completely, be a force to be reckoned with. But Yorick is obviously, the plan with Yorick is to just continue that split pushing effort, try to create as much pressure up there, make some mistakes, make some separations, and then have Zac, Tristana, and Veigar just kind of run over anyone who happens to be in the area that is mismatched or undernumbered.
Very good points. Something that's kind of cool that I want to note about both compositions is, yeah, Anubis1 really did draft a huge team fight, pick-oriented composition, in which if they ever meet you, complete 5-on-5, they do have the pretty good advantage if they're the ones that they're able to get the engage off. But never content. If you look at what their champions do, you have the Vygar cage that could separate a huge portion of let's say a river, and then next to that you could have Yorick putting down his own cage, which again they do have to auto in order to get through it, also knocking off a section of map that people could walk through. And then you have the Soraka silence as well. These are all abilities that nobody wants to necessarily walk into, so they could zone off the entire team really of Anubis1 just by using one ability that are all on around 8-second cooldown. So that's enough time to do a dragon, really.
Yep, and that's exactly what could work extremely well for them. The main idea here is they definitely want their engages to work precisely. They want to make sure Kog'Maw for Anubis1 side. They want to make sure that Kog'Maw can just have an easy time getting those those health percentage auto attacks, and just cut through and mow over these champions on these opposing side. You know, just kind of run them over, and any attempt to get to that Kog'Maw would be either negated by the Poppy or intercepted by the Amumu, and you know, the ultimate, of course. A Malzahar would even, heck, you can even have the Malzahar probably mid-air catch Zac with the ultimate, just to make sure Zac doesn't complete it. But obviously, the plan here seems to be, it's whoever goes first, whoever's making that engage, you know, that person either A, has to die super fast, or has to make the catch and play for the remaining team members. Let's see if Never Content is going to be able to make that work.
Yeah, they have the zoning tools to do so, especially with that Viger lock-in. He is able to zone out huge portions of engage and members on the enemy team, unless they go ahead and you physically have to flash over, wasting a valuable summoner spell. They do have the potential to zone off in these team fights and have enough time to kill who's in that front line. Poppy can get pretty tanky, but if she has 5 members focusing her, it doesn't stay very tanky for long.
And neither is the case for Amumu or Zac, for that matter. And Yorick, you know, he is a strong split pusher, but does have a good way to make some strong frontline damage through the ultimate as well. So, bottom line, I just think it's going to be, you know, whoever pulls the trigger has got to commit. And I think that's the name of the game of Game 1 here.
Just waiting to load in and find out what some of the rune choices were for these two teams here. We see Soraka going with the Summon Airy, Alistar with the Aftershock. AD Carry is choosing different options here. Kog'Maw with Lethal Tempo, very good on him. Does scale up quite well late game. Tristana going with Press the Attack. Huge combo damage potentially. Vigar with the new Storm Raiders, which is a little hard to get off because you do need to hit all 3 abilities.
Mm-hmm.
And then Summon Airy on the Malzahar. That's a kind of an interesting choice. I guess wanting the more of the poke damage in lane.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how it's going to be played, because it's more important that movement speed is going to be extremely vital for the Veigar, but at the same time, it's also extremely important that both teams are aware of what the other person is doing. So as I was pointing out, team communication is going to be the most important thing for both team successes here. And history says that Team Never Content's team chemistry seems to be extremely on point. So let's see who's going to come out on top because of that.
Well, everyone, let's get excited. Here we are, Game 1 in this best of 3. We have Team Never Content on the blue side, Team Anubis1 on the red. Going ahead and facing off here, it looks like a 5-man split from Never Content, not wanting any invades on the river. They do have a great level 1 with the Alistar and the Amumu, but doesn't look like anything's going to happen. Got to make sure that bush is okay by the cow, and we should have a pretty normalized, at least first couple minutes of the game.
Mm-hmm. Mohawk, the gamer, seems to be just kind of walking around, not trying to get any vision in the early stages, which is a bit strange, but I guess he has some sort of intention staying all the way back there for now. The remaining 3 members seem to be just waiting around, most likely gonna just get prepared for the blue buff that should be spawning in about 20 seconds from now. 10 or 20.
Just to take a note on starting items, Yorick with the Corrupting Potion, planning on sustaining up there and trying to really out-pressure this Poppy early on. It's a good idea. Poppy is very strong when she puts in some levels with the Q, so got to look out for that. Kog'Maw going very defensively with the Doran Shield, understands he doesn't necessarily need to win the lane, he just needs to go ahead and farm up those items.
Well, Abe and Hopper have done their leash for the Zac. It's finally laning phase time. And it looks like Poppy has decided to drop some ward coverage early for Amumu, deciding to give the red, vision on red spot, which is actually kind of interesting. Perhaps they were expecting Zach to try some sort of play.
Well, they do know Amumu is weak early. That little bit of vision helps him drastically, knowing that he doesn't have to go across the map in potentially dangerous areas because that bot lane's already pushing up.
Mm-hmm.
So that simple ward there lets Amumu know, like, hey, I can go ahead and clear my camp.
Well,
a lot of trades going in bot side, and not in the favor of Kog'Maw or Ali. Ali can't really do much until he hits the level 2, and they're taking advantage of it.
yeah, you do know that very well. You personally happen to be a pretty big fan of the cow. You have the cowbell skin, right?
Now, the Cowbell's the only skin you're allowed to run on Alistar, so I can't really see who Takish Ghostuk is actually using. I can't say that name at all.
Takish Gosu Suke. I guess Suke sounds like a simple way to say it.
Suke. Alright, we're going with Suke.
And this is still in the... Now Alistar finally has his basic average Wombo combo WQ, but he doesn't have his E. So in this situation here, I don't suspect he's going to do much of anything but kind of avoid those range poke. And he
did take Ignite for the all-in, but he has to be so careful because if they don't get ahead and get the kill, Soraka can just go ahead, heal both of them up to full. Here we go with an all-in already.
Hopper is going to take some of the brunt force here, and it is just going to be a play that does not exactly coordinate very well, but it does manage to get rid of Soraka's flash. Alistar used his own, so that means the supports on each side no longer have them. But I think this case is a good one for Alistar, because he definitely wants something like that to happen. The stun actually does land on Kulbi, and it is not going to be Choco Bear in the struggle. It looks like it's going to be Kulbi who takes a little bit of trade back from King Gwyn bot, but no, neither side is able to make the kill happen. At the same time, top side takes some really frontal damage. Little Green showing off his early damage onto Mohawk the Gamer. You know, he's only
Just a quick recap. Just a quick recap of what just happened on the map. We see the Amumu, who historically doesn't really have a good early game, goes ahead and blows the flash on the mid laner and the support. So making some pretty huge plays early. We'll see if they're able to capitalize. But we see Little Green here absolutely manhandling Mohawk, is in almost 1Q potential.
Right.
Has double the CS. This top lane needs some help and needs it fast.
Mohawk the Gamer is definitely struggling early. He's having a hard time dealing with those ghouls, and it's not, it kind of makes a lot of sense why that's happening. With the way that the ghouls work, it's just they instantly jump right on top of you, and you got to use your auto attacks to clear them fast. If you can't do that, then as you can clearly see, you just take a lot of trade, and there's not exactly anything you can really do about it unless you auto. But enough about that. It looks like Amumu is coming around the flank of the tri-bush here. Bay does actually get hit by the stun. Little Green at the same time tried to make a play on Mohawk in the top and risks his own life to not get it. And that's the tankiness, that's still that very heavy tankiness by Mohawk the Gamer that barely kept him alive. And Little Green's got to be a little bit frustrated about that not being a kill. Let's hope as the game progresses, he'll trust his damage coming up soon. He should be getting close to that sheen.
Both flashes were used topside in that dive by Little Green. Fortunately, Mohawk does get the pretty good play of surviving, which is what he needed so desperately. Might not use his teleport into lane. It might help him out a bit just so he can kind of get some levels on him.
Decides, let's engage right now here. Suke is going to go ahead and knock him off. Got the stun prepped and ready, and convinces the gank to back off. So it looks like Tristana pays the big price here. And unfortunately, when you have a Soraka as your support, you usually, if you have one of those types of engaging supports, they would go in that situation for the ADC. But when you have a Soraka, you just have a really, really strong ADC. Of course, for Abay's sake, definitely not strong enough to make the kill happen with Zac.
Keynote in that gank there, though, they did take Kog'Maw's flash. That is easily returnable. Alistar will have to play very well to try and stop the Zac wind-up from hitting his 80 carry. Definitely possible, though. Huge return gank opportunities in the bot side, in the top side, even in mid lane. Flashes are down all over the map. Can Kulbi, the eyes are on him. Is he able to make a play here? He is only level 4.
Little
These
Green
flashes
gonna
will
go
be up.
ahead and try to make a play. Mohawk decides to send him packing, uses his ultimate to throw Little Green off, so he won't take any more of that trade. Decides to play extra far back just to make this, this relentless assault by the minions slow down. As you can clearly see, the spells are just not doing enough damage to the minions. You can only take them out with auto attacks. At least that's the most efficient way to do it. And that is just playing so well into Little Green's advantage. And that's why we see it, over double the amount of farm Yorick has here.
Yeah, when you add Poppy's only form of wave clear, and she's having to use that on things that aren't even giving her much gold, those things are so tanky, it feels like she's barely hitting them.
Right, and at the same time, she's getting a little bit of her health bar ticked away each time, so those health pots she's drinking aren't exactly filling her all the way back up to health. This just relentless pressure here is just not going to be the main concern here for Colby, who definitely does not seem to want to gank top lane right now. And in his circumstance, I can see why. It's kind of like Little Green has so much of an advantage right now. What can Mohawk really do on the follow-up is the issue. And at the same time, looks like an MIA ping on Amumu's position. So perhaps they do know where he is right now.
It is possible he could be pretty intelligently tracing the jungle path thing. Amumu's still level 5, not wanting to gank. He did have the potential here with Chocobear's flash coming back up. Malzahar did have his ultimate. Would have been able to lock him down long enough and had flash as well. Would have been pretty easy gank setup, not wanting to go for it when he hit 6. Flashes are coming back up across the map now. Little Green, the only one who doesn't have his.
You can kind of feel a little bit of his impatience kind of starting to kick in. He definitely wants to put it into this Poppy right now, and he does have the Poppy on the ropes. He will be able to get all the minions to proc off here. At the same time, so was his ultimate, but it looks like his ultimate gave out and decided to stop chasing after Mohawk. Unfortunate for Little Green, but at the same time, now he's got him completely off the tower. It's tower taking time for Yorick here. He's going to definitely try to do so. He wants...
On top of Yorick. Oh,
no,
sorry,
never
ganking the
mind.
mid lane.
Speaking of top of Yorick, somebody's on top of Malzahar. The ultimate by the Veigar does not come through, but the Q does! He takes out Malzahar. I can't believe he actually managed to get the Q off in time. He got it
Having
off
the
just in the nick of time.
confidence.
That's crazy.
Huge play there from the mid. Colby, though, saying, get out of my mid lane.
Yeah,
Who had the double buffs and goes ahead.
Now that's
Flash
some
it onto
confidence.
Choco.
Absolute confidence right there. They now realize Zach is leaving the mid lane, so this is an engage time for one of the members. Abe is going to go ahead and show that Ultraviolet Snacks has no chance of winning with a Soraka nearby, and that is going to be something that is going to be really difficult for the lane to come, because now top lane's winning pretty convincingly, and bot lane now has a kill, and so does the mid lane. This is kind of going to be really tricky for Anubis, who are slowly losing their money lead as the game progresses.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they went in there. Bad communication, really, from the bot lane. If you're going to go in on Soraka, you kind of have to all-in her. Trading with Soraka and the AD carry at the same time, you're never going to win that fight 100% of the time.
Well, Little Green happens to be building right for that Triforce, one of the strong items for Yorick. So, honestly, seems like the right call for this exact type of situation. Anyway, Malzahar, I think, for the most part, happens to be ahead of his opponent, Veigar. But as we all know, Veigar is the type of champion who is infinitely scaling and happens to have infinite amount of AP. So we will be seeing a very, very powerful Veigar coming up, where to a point where I would dare say it's going to be extremely scary. I'm also starting to notice another thing about Little Green's offensive up here. He seems to have very little patience with his E. He almost just tosses it out there at random half the time. It is kind of
Maybe
weird.
just hoping he gets lucky. But a point I wanted to make before we had the huge action in the mid lane is that Yorick already has incredible split pushing potential. He also took the mastery that allows him to stand around a tower and do extra damage. On top of the fact that his Q now works on towers, he was able to get that tower down in 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely insane play so far by Little Green.
Yep, and if he gets himself a ZZ Rot Portal on top of that, this guy might be able to take out almost any structure known to man. Like, my goodness. He's almost like a complete demolitionist. And I would love to see what his next build option is, because usually after Triforce, Yoriks tend to debate what their next options are. Most of the time, I think if I was Little Green anyway, I would go Rot Portal right after my Triforce was done.
We will see what he ends up going. The world is his oyster. Passing the tier 2 tower. Mohawk isn't able to do anything.
And I'm actually kind of surprised that Mumu and Malzahar are not trying to make a play on Little Green here. It's quite clear Mohawk is in a very bad spot. Does have enough health to make a play, but at the same time, it looks like they just seem to completely hope that their situation is just going to kind of work out better for them if they stay in the lanes. It does seem kind of interesting, though.
Malzahar does have teleport. There is a ward even behind Yorick. If you're going to make a play, this is honestly the best one you could make. The ward just now expires. And ultimates were up, teleports were up. They're kind of using Mohawk here as just the sacrificial lamb and hoping they could have pressure on the rest of the map.
Let's hope that doesn't backfire on them in the end here, as Little Green's going to continue to siege this tower with the very strong Sheen procs, and now with the Phage, he's just really fast, and he also happens to have a lot of attack speed right now as well, thanks to the knives. But in any case, in the mid lane here, the Veigar definitely is the type of person to get those stacks going well for him, and the vision seems to be more focused, centered on the lane between the mid lane and the bot. But anyway, as I was going to finish my sentence, the Soraka gets done. Hopper's in a bad spot here. He misses the Q. The Kog'Maw misses his own ultimate, and once again, a missed opportunity for Soraka to go down here. As Little Green continues the siege topside, Mohawk is still being completely shoved under tower again.
Bottom fight's not going too well in favor of Anubis1 here. They do get the flash out of the Soraka. You have a potential for a play with that. Alistar can keep going in time and time and time again. And you saw if they focus the same target, they had the kill potential there. And that was even without a Mumu able to walk into the lane. So the potential's there.
Another issue is starting to arise as well. Mohawk is now being forced to use a lot of his mana to try to force this wave to be destroyed, and now he's running out of it as well, which means it's even more of a trickier situation for Mohawk here. His best bet at this point is to hope he doesn't get caught out, but it looks like I might have spoken just a little too soon. Everybody, oh, deflection! He sends every single one of the Voidlings away, every single one of Yorik's monsters away from him, so that bought him just enough time. Meanwhile, Mohawk is now being sieged under his own inhib tower, and Amumu is starting to come around here as Zac is nearby just in case Amumu tries something.
And on top of that, Zac is even supporting him. He has pink wards underneath him. He has Zac behind him. He's not scared at all. His team is playing around him. We do see Malzahar starting to roam up here.
Oh, that Amumu is taking a ton of damage. Little Green's going to try to one last attempt to make the play. Soraka tried to heal him, but it was not enough, and uses the stopwatch to prevent any last-second ticks from taking out Yorick here. Yorick nearly had him. He just needed that Q to come through, but that Malzahar ultimate just to make sure Amumu was getting out of that one. Anyway, Abe is now fighting against the Soraka again. Amumu is being forced to kite a lot here, and he now goes down. Hopper is going to have to outrun the Kog'Maw. That's not going to happen. The true damage explosion. Now Alistar is going to have to find a way to win this fight against the ADC. He is slowly winning it thanks to his his protection from his ultimate, but now it's gone. Abe is going to commit all his resources, and it's going to backfire. Suke!
Oh my god!
Bless Tristana right in the jaw, knocking her right out. What a
They
hit.
needed somebody to step up and be the carry of this team, and Suke is like, I got this. Hold my milk. Absolutely amazing. Tristana not respecting the cooldowns of Suke. Even having the balls to fight him while he was ulted. Not respecting him, going into melee range, was able to get a ton of autos off, and just ends up picking up the double.
Takish go Suke. Wow. Here, hold my milk, the greatest line of all time. That is the best line I've ever heard. Oh, the ultimate been canceled. The CC law. Oh, what a terrible time for a pause. I do not know who made the pause. Only Exton would know if he had his chat up. So, do you have any idea who made this pause?
Little Green went ahead and paused it. I did see Mohawk disconnect before this pause happened. So probably just some issues here. We have fights going on all over the map. Not all over. It's really in the mid lane on your screen. But
well, the BC strategy of top lane by Little Green has been working very well so far. 50 CS over his very small opponent of Poppy, but Poppy decided to go with the Sunfire Cape to deal with try to get a little bit of better clear, especially considering he doesn't want to use that much mana anymore to deal with this type of situation. Here's the troubling part about pauses right in the middle of team fights. The thing is, it's like teams are getting prepared and then like to catch them off guard, but when CC like this happens, it kind of lets you reassess the situation, and then you're kind of hoping your skill shot's still going to hit, and at the same time, you kind of get that prediction that your opponent is also thinking the same thing. So it's kind of like one of those type of situations where it's like, man, I really hate pauses. Especially the
I have a
ones that are in between.
small prediction for what's going to happen as soon as this fight goes off. Alright, so here's what's going to happen. Colby, he's going to panic. He's going to use his ultimate and only hit Kingwin, who really doesn't care because he's a tank. Meanwhile, Choco Bear sees the two enemies lined up. He's gonna press his baby cage, stun both of them, one shot Tuba Ninja with his ultimate. And since both of them don't have flash, they're pretty much dead here. That's what I think is going to happen. Now what could happen, Kingwin ults them back to the safety of their own tower because of a terrible misclick. It has the potential.
Okay, well, anyway, as we're still waiting, minutes are going by here, reassessing of the strategy is definitely going to have to come about. Kog'Maw is, I don't think you can really think about and consider a lane swap in this situation at this point, There's some times where you can consider a lane swap, to kind of like one team's kind of getting an advantage and just try to reassess it by swinging the advantages going around here. I don't think either side would consider that in this point. What do you think?
Well, a lane swap in this case wouldn't necessarily work too well because Tristana is great at taking towers, and Poppy's already so drastically behind. So if you put her against two champions, Soraka and Tristana, nonetheless, she's going to still get poked out. The tower is still going to go down regardless to which lane she goes to. I think right now with the Sunfire Cape purchase, she's in the best possible case scenario to try and catch back up into the game. But it does leave you a couple questions to answer, like why let such a lead accumulate in the first place? Because at 11 to 12 minutes, he was already on the top of the tier 2. Still very squishy, did build a Triforce first item. Not an unkillable god at all.
Although that Alistar from the earlier play really felt like an Alistar god, even though he didn't have the bell or the milk, he really gave a very hard lick right to that Tristana's jaw. Like, my goodness, knocked Tristana right for a loop. That was a really amazing play, and I like seeing stuff like that because that stuff is awesome, honestly.
This is a pretty dramatic pause going into 5 minutes here. Taking a quick look at things going along the map, Little Green still trying to reconnect to the game. Yeah, as you can see, really 2.5k gold lead on the side of Never Content here. And I think most of that is purely off of top lane, with the tower going down, with the 50 CS advantage. Jungle does have a pretty sizable lead as well, 92 to 65 CS. So definitely another little bit of a boost coming from that. But really, though, it's just Little Green making the entire map feel his presence.
Right, and that is starting to develop more and more and more. Like, now in the back of their minds, they're always worried about Little Green. But of course, if Little Green remains, DC'd for much longer, I think at this point, they're probably not going to worry about him at all, because he's not going to be in the game. Maybe a little bit of poor tasting joke. I hope he can come back soon. Well, he did reconnect, so maybe he's finally okay. But my goodness, really bad stroke of luck for the client today. It's been really, really laggy. Oh, Jared, side note, by the way, I finally got Daniel in here. Finally got him to do a meme. I'm really happy about that. Alright, that's all. Anyway. Anyway, back on to... Oh, wait, never mind. I guess I thought the pause was about to be done. Usually when you see the time reset a little bit, it's like they're ready to go. But I guess Little Green still must be having disconnection problems still. Now, according to what I recall from the rules, which I will check right now for those viewing audiences at home who are most definitely wondering what's going on or how long the pause time is in particular, let's go ahead and I'll go ahead and read them off to you so you're aware. While I go ahead and try to find it, let me just be sure I got the correct time. Let's see, player behavior. Okay. Team roster policy. Oh, wait, I don't think I can actually find it. Huh. Doesn't exactly... No easy shortcut way to find that, the pause time rule. Anyway, have they said anything in the chat? I heard a little bit of something. I don't know if they said anything or not.
No, I haven't seen anything yet. Let me check some stuff. But...
Still waiting 8 minutes off the clock. This is going to be a pretty long series if this pause anywhere gets any longer. I'm going ahead and sending Cap to take a look at it. See what's going on with the player status.
And the pause suddenly unpauses. All right.
Yeah, that is rather bizarre here, but Colby's going to try to get out of there as fast as possible. Yorick immediately jumps in as well to be a part of the siege plan. Now Little Green has his ultimate. Will he actually use it mid? No, he is going to run all the way back to top lane to continue his siege. Rather interesting. I thought he would have attempted to try to take advantage of the lack of numbers right now, but wow, what an immediate under pause. Looks like, oh, Little Green does not manage to get the W to get the minor knockup that could have stopped Poppy. Now Poppy and Alistar are defending the mid tower while Yorick continues to siege. And at the bot side here, both Hopper and Abe do manage to take the bot tower. So after the pause here, both teams are finally getting right back into the action, and they're doing it fast.
Well, I was half right on the prediction. Choco completely one-shot Tuba Ninja as soon as that pause unsettled. Oh, yeah. Not sure why Mohawk Gamer felt the need to teleport there. They weren't going to siege up that tower with just Vigar and... But before I finish that...
decides to take the blast cone over, and he almost takes out Tristana. But Tristana does manage to jump out of there as fast as possible. Ultraviolet Snacks, now with the Rage Blade, is going to be very... he has one of his power spikes, and is going to be a lot more stronger against that Tristana, for sure. They're going to now give a little risk it for the biscuit as they decide to take the Herald, as the Drake Ocean is now going over to their opponents. I feel like Ocean Drake is actually extremely good for Anubis here. Having Kog'Maw be able to, keep his mana high, feel like that's going to actually be extremely good for their team. And at the same time, Malzahar and Amumu, I would also say, would be really beneficial to this too.
I don't know if it's really worth it 18 minutes into the game. If that Ocean was 10 minutes ago, absolutely. It's completely vital. But this late into the game, not really. We do see a teleport coming down to the bot lane, trying to stop this siege. I don't think any action is going to happen. But Herald here, what it does is it lets Little Green break into the next tier. He now has that extra boost of damage he needs.
Poppy actually well played on that decision. He uses his E to push Little Green out of his trap in the middle of the circle and actually pulls himself out along with it. Very interesting strategy. I wonder if Mohawk can possibly do that again the next time he gets locked in. But anyway, the ultimate is now going to dissipate, and Little Green's going to now be able to siege that tower while the focus still remains in the bot lane. He does manage to get some tower damage. Oh, he does take it, actually. Wow, that damage from Demolish is working pretty well. Mohawk's going to have to back off right away, and the invade attempt by Kabi is about to be, well, I think that just about explains it right there.
Yeah.
Ganged up on and taken out.
Just getting caught out a bit too deep, 2 levels down as far as the jungle matchup is concerned, and bot lane has not really much pressure. Just not in the correct position, and the Herald could be dropped top lane still, especially while Mohawk is this low. Little Green has absolutely all the pressure, but without even using it, he gets the tower down to half, 25%. He might even go for it on this wave.
Right.
Seems like he's going to back off.
Yep, it looks like he's finally lost his wave here. That tower is nearly destroyed. Poppy can only do so much in this situation. Malzahar continues to not want to send, not want to give ground in mid lane. And Veigar is already getting really strong at this point. The lockdown CC is going to be bringing him right back into the bot lane, and that's Abe grabbing another kill on the Kog'Maw. The CC is not going to make any difference on Kog'Maw now because he's going to be able to get out of this. The tower breaks at 20 minutes. Yorick takes multiple towers now. But anyway, Veigar is going to be in a lot of trouble. He uses his ultimate to lower the Alistar's health, and grabbing another kill for Abe, and Tuba Ninja is now on the run, nowhere to go, only has a spell shield that now just popped, uses the flash to jump back over. He does manage to lock him in, he does manage as well to get him low, he will go down, Tuba gets one on the way out, but does finally have some reinforcements. Here comes Amumu and Poppy, both trying to get the Kinguin down. Kinguin gets caught, actually. This could be his first death in the game. Mohawk is getting pushed back by the Tristana, but there's nothing Tristana can do at this point. He does finally go down. A lot of help
now ending up
when it mattered.
where the fight started, getting caught out probably 2 minutes ago. That fight went on forever. Wow. Okay, just to sum up some action, Yorick doing Yorick things, takes 2 towers during that whole exchange, and completely ballooning the gold lead. The kills are only 8-7, but they have a almost 7k gold lead at this point. And this is just so mind-boggling to me, how they just are seeing the losing matchup and they're just refusing to do much about it. Alistar is getting engaged on now.
Alistar really has nowhere to go. He's trying to fight his way through, but Yorick's got a very powerful slow going and happens to have a ton of damage. That is going to be as quick and clean secure on Alistar. At this point, it's just a lot of that percentage health damage Yorick does. It's just clearly showing through, because not only is he able to take towers so easily, but it's just, everything is just looking really easily right now. Yorick is now going to continue that topside play. Soraka Hopper barely makes it out of that situation. The Veigar tries to make the stun work, doesn't work out for him. Zach's going to continue the fight. He brings all 3 members into it. Abe does manage to take out Kog'Maw. As Kog'Maw now goes to try to get 1 extra true damage, it's not going to work. Kabi's going to make a run for it. He gets knocked into the wall. The auto attack by Cho'Bear is not going to work out. Meanwhile, the inhibitor top by Yorick has been taken out. Tuba Ninja still refuses to back off. Alistar is now being sent top to stop him, but Little Green refuses to leave that Nexus Tower. Never mind, he actually did leave the Nexus Tower.
I mean, why should he leave? No one's even falling back to go get him. He would have had to face an Alistar and Mumu, which I'm sure he's not going to really have much problem with. 4 levels up on top of Kalbi. Right now, all you're seeing is Anubis1 going into complete panic mode. You have Amumu engaging without ultimates, people not using their ultimates, and just completely ignoring Little Green, who almost solo took a Nexus turret. 23 minutes into the game, we're not even late game, where there's huge decisions being made. Baron is now finally being looked at. This is just completely falling apart for Anubis.
Right. And all because, Little Green was able to give everything he wants and everything he needs. Whatever makes him happy and sets him free just happens to be what Little Green is getting. Sorry, I was trying to do a song lyric, but then it didn't work. Still, I'm liking Suke here. I like his determination and effort. He's definitely trying where it seems like most of his teammates are a little bit, lost for where at this point at where to position. Suke definitely his head seems to be well into the game. And he is doing his absolute best to make this work. They're going to go ahead and in that confusion take a Mountain Drake. So the Ocean's coming up pretty soon as well. Abe is about to run into Suki. Suki's gonna need to get out of there. He gets slowed by the Tristana, the ultimate being used. Suki, you're really, really tanky. That Tristana is unable to kill you, actually. Good job surviving that really tough situation. It's not really his fault. He is trying to get wards, but there's just so much, open pressure that I think he probably didn't even realize Tristana was there by the time he was, getting shot at.
I think another cool note to say here is that Mountain Drag was probably the worst dragon that.
Oh my goodness! He just took 25th of its health bar. Of the tower's health bar already. What in the world?
That's New York. That's why you need to play new stuff.
Oh, yeah, New York, absolutely. Yeah, I like it, New York. I like it. That's a good one.
Being looked at by 3 people opens up Baron completely for Never Contend, and that's exactly what they're going to do.
Meanwhile, at the top side, the Inhib towers are being sieged by the super minions. They actually do take the tower at the Nexus. Malzahar, what are you doing, Tuba? Amumu tries to make a sneaky play, uses the ultimate, but he's all alone. And that is going to be a Baron that falls into the hands of Never Content. Malzahar just kind of seems to be very glued into that mid lane. It almost looks like he just has no interest going anywhere else at this point.
The setups weren't there for him to use the teleport. There was definitely potential. Guess just not feeling confident with it. Doesn't look like they're too comfortable with the dual teleport strategy.
Someone pulling out the bronze card for Calvi here. I don't know. I disagree. I think Calvi's doing pretty well.
I don't know.
He could be doing better, but I feel like
I'll say he did do great early on.
Yeah.
It definitely had some impact, but wasn't able to really have much of a follow-up besides that point. Talking about what's going on in the current situation, though, they are starting to siege up the mid side. Top lane super minions are still attacking the base.
Yep, and Kog'Maw was dealing with it no longer. Poppy is now going to use the ultimate to try to keep Abe in a good position, but Zac ends up being the one caught out. The ultimate being used to throw Amumu back. Amumu still doesn't have ultimate, and Little Green on the flank here is dealing with 2 members of their tanky squad, which he does happen to still have that percentage health damage. So that is actually still working in his favor in a bit. Here's a 3-man catch, and now that's going to be great for him. Little Green gets caught by the ultimate. Malzahar was unable to kill him. Abe takes out Kog'Maw, and Little Green is now on fire at this point as he's still alive after all of that fighting, including tower diving. He is now very tanky and is able to continue the siege with his teammates. They take out that Inhib tower as Yorick takes out the bot one. And there you have it, folks. It is multiple towers going down. The Inhib is now about to crack here on the top half and the bot half. I wonder if Yorick's going to beat him. Wow, he did! He single-handedly took that Inhib before 4 members of his own team and a Tristana who's 8-1. Wow! Yorick is an incredible champion. He actually outraced his own team for the inhibitor.
I didn't know that they also buffed Yorick with invisibility, since no one seems to look at him this game.
It's like the opposite of the Teemo passive. He has anti-taunt, where nobody can hit him. It's
Makes
great.
you wonder what would have happened if they played Nasus.
He probably would have actually been focused. The thing is, Yorick's got that secret passive. You see, he's not a part of the meta at all, and therefore, nobody knows what to do with him, so it's just leave him alone?
Memes aside, that is 3 inhibitors down at 29 minutes. Really, all they have to do here is just go ahead and walk these super minions into the base. They're already a Nexus Tower down. There's really not too much hope here at all. It's 14k gold lead.
Yeah, this looks all to be
8 and 1 Tristana.
I guess at this point they're kind of hoping for one last-ditch effort. Maybe get that Amumu ultimate they've been waiting on for a while. And Colby makes that catch and play that gets the ultimate they need. He does only get 2 members, gets locked down and bursted. Colby tries to save himself, but Choco Bear's not going to let him have a chance. Ults him to get rid of him, and that means Amumu no longer part of the fight. That means they don't have another set of engages. Alistar's now dealing with a very strong little green, and Ebe takes him out. The godlike on the Tristana now, and Kog'Maw is in a miserable spot.
Looks like this is going to be the push to go ahead and end the game here.
And Mohawk tries to push him over. There's nothing really more to say here. That went down so fast, I couldn't even do an outro. Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of Game 1 happens to be Never Content. The sides will be switched. Let's see what both teams do on the opposite sides this time coming around. All right, let's...
Little Green ended up with a 2-1-2. Only 4 kills he participated in out of the 16, 25% for Little Green. And one of those being a solo kill. Then that is just... They wanted to team fight on the side of Anubis1. Little Green put his foot down. Never let him open the door. They couldn't even look through the window.
It's that little trick where you put your foot like right in that crevice of the door, so that no matter what happens, you can't push the door open, and it makes you look really weak when you try to open it when the other person is doing that. That's basically what I saw Little Green doing. He just had his foot right in that door crevice, so there was like no way to push the door open for their opponent Anubis. And wow, he took almost complete control of the game. I cannot wait to get that match history that will show the details of what happened in that game. But until then, folks, let's go ahead and prep for the next one, get some music on, and see what Anubis' new strategy is going to be this time around.
Leader, I'll follow the leader, 'cause you're my leader. Now will you guide me, no matter what you do, I still love you madly, with your every move,
Well, looks like, as you can clearly see now, folks, some match histories that just came in. So let's have some statistical talk, shall we, about what just happened in that game and what happened in this game in particular. I'll switch to display right now. Let's take a look at that statistical chart here. Let's see who was a big impact here. And not very surprising, Yorick actually did a pretty strong job. But Tristana appears to have done the most damage at 26.7k. Solid, strong, high damage burst. And that is just because Tristana was able to make a lot of good catches on that Kog'Maw. The problem was it just seemed to be really tricky for them to not be able to get their auto attacks to come through very easily. But anyway, I'm also very curious as well at the war coverage here. The war coverage by Zach seems to be 26 wards, pretty solid. And as for the Alistar, 27, 25 on the Amumu. Pretty solid amount of warding. Very respectable, I would say. Very respectable. Not exactly
Something I want to say, hardly any placed by Yorick.
You know, true. He definitely showed a lot of confidence, but even less so by Poppy with a mere 3 wards. So, yeah.
That's also just kind of unacceptable at this level of play.
Yeah, agreed.
30 wards placed is just... You have a mid laner with teleport, and that you had 1 ward set up, but you need to be able to provide your team vision if you want them to be safe walking into their own jungle.
I mean, this whole time, Yorick could have had Zac, like, everywhere near that area, so just a bait and switch could work really well against him. Probably why they were a little afraid of the dark to try to get into Poppy, to get Poppy any assistance. Probably could have been that type of thing. But let's take a look at objectives taken here and damage to turrets. So total damage to objectives by Yorick was 21.8k, and the second highest one was 12.2 by the Tristana. So the tower damage that Yorick did as well, 12.8k, was, well, I think quite obvious. You know, he took towers really fast and did a lot of damage to those turrets. But anyone in comparison, I don't think there's anyone even close except for, actually, yeah, no one's even close. Tristana at a mere 7.4k on turret damage, 12.8k for Yorick. Wow, that's a lot. He just,
I mean, you know when you're close, or when you're beating one of the most notable AD carries whose job is to take towers, when you're doubling their damage to objectives, you know you played pretty damn well that game.
Absolutely. You can kind of feel the momentum just kind of start to skyrocket and pick up over the course of the game for the blue side, which happened to be Never Content, if you guys were curious. The games really started to snowball out of control, and no matter what momentum they tried to do to cancel it out, they just couldn't make the kills happen as well. So that was also another issue that Anubis had ran into. Let's see if they will maybe try to change the strategy to a more kill-focused plan of attack. While we still wait for the remaining members, let's go ahead and see where they are and get them ready and in their seats for the next game. Did you seriously just copy that pasta that was sent earlier?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Hello, Twitch chat. This is Army's mother speaking. Please stop the spam.
Oh, that one. Oh, that copy pasta. Could you invite me to the game?
Yeah, sure. Yes. I'll get you in right now, in fact. But since I stopped the music just to answer the meme, let me turn it back on. It won't be too long, folks. Just give us a moment. Well, it looks like the song has ended at a very interesting time, but the new one's about to begin. And as I say this, both sides seem to be settled in. Might be able to get this one started.
Well, it looks like we have a substitute in the top lane as well.
That we do. Ninja King has stepped in as their sub, the top laner that was before. Good luck to him in the future. Let's hope this isn't his last trip in a competitive series, because he definitely had a really rough ship. The Yorick is a very, very strong champion. Not a lot of champions are designed to beat him. Not many anyway. But let's take this and see what we got for the next match.
Well, he wasn't able to play last game. Looks like he won't play this game either.
That's a little savage.
We'll see if Ninja King is able to do anything else against Little Green. I do expect the Yorick to be instantly banned. Completely changed the entire layout of that game, and they weren't able to really adapt to it.
That they weren't, and it was clearly just a severe lack of communication going on. Of whether it felt like that was the case, but I might be wrong. I don't know for sure.
Could have been lack of communication. Could have been just trying to look for like plays that not everyone on the team was seeing. It looked like a lot of confusion. If I had to take one good note away from Anubis in that last game, it was Suke on Alistar. He definitely had some misplays towards the mid and late game, but I feel like that was more communication based. But in lane, I don't think he was too terrible. Definitely, I mean, there were mistakes there, but that's the only lane which was able to really do anything. So maybe if it got more support, maybe if more plays were made towards that side of the map, I see some potential there for early to mid game.
Yep. And definitely their comp was well designed around trying to hold people down and just kind of keep the artillery, firing onto the template. But they just couldn't seem to get it coordinated together, and it eventually, kind of collapsed around itself. A little bit self-destructive in a way. I hope Anubis will have a comp that will be a little bit more, easier to coordinate, easier to engage and stuff for their sake. They definitely need this game to be a win for them. They need to get their situation going for their chances to win this match. They absolutely need this to work. It's got to be this one.
Yeah, I mean it has to be. It's winner go home in this case for this week. Waiting for both teams to go ahead and start. Ninja King with the shot clock.
Right.
Can he hit the buzzer?
Oh man, there's
The
not a lot of
tension's
time
rising.
left. He's got the ball still. He just needs to throw it out there. He just got to get it hit the rim at least once to reset the clock. No, he makes it. He drains it, in fact. Drains it, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, picks and bans going to be started up here for game 2.
So the same
Switching sides here.
Right, same situation as last time. They will be losing a ban off the top
Let me get
for
in
their situation, for their substitute situation. So they'll still lose a ban right around the 3rd pick, from what I understand. At least that's what I was told from our officials. So let's see what happens next. Yasuo seems to be banned, so Ninja King will not have it, and neither will Tuba Ninja. So interesting enough.
Yeah, it wasn't banned out before in the prior game, so I'm assuming that's probably something Ninja King is comfortable with. Potential carry, not giving it to him, I don't see it as a bad strategy at all.
No problem.
No problem. Well, I think there might be a bit of a problem with you, Ezreal. Because not only are you
'Cause you're
banned, but you're also
bad.
really strong.
The taste of coward.
Alright, Nidalee again going to be banned out here in game 2. Did they lose the 3rd ban of this one or the last ban?
Sorry, say it again? I was a little distracted.
Did they lose this ban or did they lose the last one?
I believe that this is the ban they lose. I believe this is the
Ah,
Your commands.
Nah, I was wrong.
okay.
I was
choosing to
definitely
ban out-
wrong.
choosing to ban out the Vigar and the Tristana, both which were played last game. I don't really see the priority over the Yorick, but
I was just corrected. Looks like they don't lose a ban at all, actually.
Seriously?
never mind.
I was entirely wrong. This whole time I was wrong. Sorry.
The only reason I
everybody.
see you not ban Yorick here is because you're baiting him into playing it.
True, or you're going to pick it yourself, which is an option. I don't see Little Green not taking Yorick again because it's quite clear Yorick was a powerhouse, and you know it seems like a strong four-man comp with a Yorick at the top. Does seem to be pretty good. Pantheon being selected is an interesting one here. I don't know.
Is that the solo queue legend Pantheon top lane?
The solo queue legend Pantheon top lane. Maybe even mid, maybe even jungle. But Little Green now has his option to take Yorick again. I'd say you take it. It was really
I don't
strong
know.
before.
I don't think he has the survivability early on to not get snowballed on by Pantheon. Now this is fives, where Pantheon's probably not going to take Ignite, and he probably won't brainlessly push into you until you die. But there's always that potential. We can't just rule it off the board.
Can't just rule it off the board, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, X-Don for president. You think you can run for office? What do you think?
Well, it's a potential. Depending on the outcome of this game, right here, depends on whether I make my run for presidency. And I'll go ahead and base it on Anubis winning.
Wow, really?
That's how much faith I have.
That's how much faith you have. Well, okay then. You will go and be the president of whatever thing, whether it's the United States or just a simple chess club. Well, we'll find out later on, ladies and gentlemen, if Anubis actually does manage to come out victorious in this series.
Picks are coming
Anivia
out
has
pretty
been
quick
secured.
here. Anivia and Lee Sin. A bunch of early game mixed with some kind of like mid-late game control. Lee Sin definitely has two lanes he can already gank. Pantheon with CC in lane, Anivia with CC in lane. They are able to set him up very nicely. Is a nice counter into the Twitch when he does go invis. Does require a little bit of predictability, but it's there. The beginnings of an early game are there.
Ariana
Are they able to pull it off?
Ariana seems to be selected as well. Anivia is honestly, I think Anivia is a very strong counter pusher to Yorick, I would say. You know, like if you want to send somebody top just to stop Yorick from split pushing, I think Anivia is your champion. With an AoE, you know, with such a great wave clearing AoE ultimate, Yorick can't exactly throw himself at Anivia, and you know, he can't use his minions to just try to push through Anivia either. With an ultimate, Anivia can single-handedly stop Little Green from advancing, but obviously at the cost of mana. So let's hope with what happens that Little Green's delays are still not going to be completely against him. At least he's hoping that when Anivia does come top, that he'll still be able to keep the push going.
If I was Anubis here, I would be looking to ban heavy engage junglers right here, because they're going to be wanting to find somebody to go ahead and put the Orianna ball onto them in the team fight. They haven't drafted it yet. Banning Lulu, although it is a great support with the Twitch, I mean, it's not the worst decision. You got to be careful of who else they have left up on the board as the initiator. King Quin's already proved that he can play Zac. Yeah, I don't see any reason at all that he doesn't go ahead and play it again here.
Yeah. Let's see what the final. Let's see where the ban is going to be. It's going to be J4 once again. The legend himself, J4, the most commonly played champion, not going to be played again, folks. So, it looks like popularity contests are not exactly going to be the main interest of these two teams. Zac seemed to be hovered. Udyr as well. Both are very good at getting on top of the target quickly and getting some good damage in. But in the end, Sejuani, who's also both of those champions combined, can do the same thing.
So you go ahead, take Zac 2.0 into the jungle. Sejuani, he was great on engaging before. We'll see how it works out now. Honestly, I think it's a little bit easier this time around. But
Oh yes, applying some of those stacks. On top of that, Yorick can basically apply that as well. So in a lot of sense, this could be pretty interesting. Right now, Suke's debating on his final pick here. We're looking at a support option. Decides to take out the Thresh. Pretty nice option, I'd say. As Hopper is now going to be the final pick here. I don't know what the good option is here, but maybe a Taric, maybe a Soraka, maybe some healer.
There's no way Soraka gets locked in.
Yeah, that would be a bit of a risky play. Hopper is now looking at Bard at this time. 3 seconds on the clock. He's going to shot clock
No
in
way.
here. 0
There's
seconds
no
on
way
the clock.
Nami gets
He's
locked
going to
in.
go ahead and change at the last second to Morgana and confirms it.
Alright, now bot lane's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Lucian Thresh right now is just volatile. Lucian with press the attack and Thresh with ignite. Like, you're looking to win that 2v2, especially with Lee Sin jungle. He should be in the vicinity. You're going to look hard to win that 2v2.
Right.
Morgana does have the counterplay potential with the Black Shield, but you have to remember Twitch is such a weak laner. He is traditionally good in Lucian, does outrange him, is able to poke him out.
You know, another
But,
thing I want to mention as well, to cut you off here, it looks like Twitch is not going heal. He's going to go with the barrier, from what I can tell, from the side of that angle of that summoner.
He does have 20 seconds to go ahead and change the loadout. Don't know if he's going to do it. He did run barrier last game because Soraka took heal. He might just not notice it.
He might not, and I hope Hopper tells him. Him with the heal's a little bit more efficient, I would say. No time left. He's going to keep his barrier. No, it switches to heal.
Switches to heal.
Okay.
Almost gave us heart attacks, both of us.
Yeah, I know. I was like, oh, man. Abe, I'm hoping for you, man. I'm praying. That barrier is not that potent. Not with that much attack. Not with that many attacks coming. So yeah, it is, as you said, it's basically like the game of dares, really. If Thresh hits a Morgana Black shielded Twitch or a Morgana Black shielded Morgana, then it's kind of like devil's advocate. Do you commit and Morgana then hits you with the bind, or do you just use it as a poke and just continue trying to get some damage off every which way? Because you know the spell shield will be coming down, but the Thresh hook will be able to be on cooldown a little bit sooner, which means you might be able to catch Morgana off on another play.
Yeah, there's that lane is just Thresh into Morgana, just traditionally just so much counterplay. There's many ways for Thresh to take off the Black Shield. He could flay it away. He could auto attack with the flay empowered damage to try and lower the Black Shield so it goes down so he can hit the hook. There's so many options for both of those champions, and if one of them gains lane dominance, it's very noticeable.
Speaking of very noticeable lane dominance, Yorick just came off of a very dominating lane, in fact. And he is looking like he wants to try to do that again, but this is going to be a much different breed of champions coming in the top lane. If things go where I would expect for Anubis here, Pantheon and Lee Sin both have the ability to jump out of Yorick's W, which means you should gotta start to question, the usability of it, really. Because I don't feel like he'll use it as defensively or as catchy as he used to. He might just use it to just try to force them to get separated by using the W to try to get Lee Sin to just use his Q to bounce over, where Pantheon won't be able to follow up because of the W. Like, he won't... I think he'll have to use the W more defensively, in my opinion of Yorick. But I don't know about his chances this time, because early is where Yorick really starts to snowball. And he is the type of champion that will persist until it's the end of the game, whether he wants to, continue to siege until he has everything he needs to win the game, or try a different strategy. It all depends on how well this top lane situation goes for Pantheon, and how well it goes for Yorick.
Well, you have to also be really careful this game that you're not putting too much resources into the Yorick. So Colby isn't sitting top lane waiting for Pantheon for 2 or so minutes early game, waiting to get that stun off so they can go ahead and pick up the kill. If you add too much into it, Yorick works as like a double-edged sword. He's drawing so much away from the rest of the map that the rest of his lanes, who are all super scaly, can end up going even. Whereas if Lee Sin enters any of those lanes, they all have the potential for ganks, like with the Anivia stun, with the Thresh hooks, with the lanterns, Pantheon with the follow-up. This is Colby's game to win, I think, in the first 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm. And I have seen Lee Sin do really, really well. When I was the camera guy of one other game, went 10-3 with the Lee Sin when he finally got introduced in last time. So I don't know if it's like someone's found the magical rune kit that makes Lee Sin really, really, really strong, or it's gonna be a one-hit wonder for the Lee Sin kit. From what I can tell, no one's really found the magical Lee Sin build yet. But they have been a lot of attempts, and a lot of people thinks they've got their ideas for the Lee Sin type of build style. Let's hope it's Electrocute that is the correct one for these top lane ganks. Speaking of this, looks like Pantheon's got the same idea. Probably going to try to use all that damage to try to quickly take out a little green as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I completely agree there. And as we have our lovely Nocturne Ultimate of Darkness, and then I'm waiting for the hype. If we'll eventually load into the game. All right, we're starting to load in. This is game 2 of a best of 3. We have Never Content on the red side, Anubis1 on the blue side. Series already going 0-1 in favor of Never Content. Can they pull it out, or can Anubis come back with this huge, aggressive early game composition? We're going to find out right here.
Hashtag XDawn for president if Anubis does pull out the comeback. Whoa,
We
wait a minute.
see you.
All the members are right here, right in front of each other. The Thresh actually connects the hook, the stun lockdown onto Kingwin. Kingwin's not going to survive, and Lucian takes the kill. Whoa! I think both sides didn't realize how fast they were, and they immediately caught him off balance.
I don't think, as Never Content here, you want to try and go for that level 1 play. You have evenly matched Thresh on the other side of the Morgana. Lucian is better early level 1. Anivia's better level 1 because all she can take is her stun. Lee Sin's better level 1. They're just you don't want to meet them. You don't want to meet them 5v5.
Yeah, and that's what happened. Really, it just they walked right into trouble and they got it real quick. I don't think both sides realized how fast they were because the second they ran into each other, like whoa, what? And then they started pressing their abilities. So they were just kind of almost realizing it as it happened that they were going to make some crazy plays happen as well. And it worked out really well for them personally.
I will say this, Pantheon starting W is going to hinder him a lot.
Oh yeah.
Pretty early on. Not having that Q level 1 is pretty big. But on the other side of the map, Twitch losing both of his summoners is also massive.
Very much so. I agree with you. The situation with Ninja King here is he's got to make sure that from level 1 to level 5, he has a complete control of that situation. Speaking of complete control, Thresh lands a very on-point hook, and Abe's got to back off. Hopper trying to get them to back off as well, does some auto attacks. It convinces Lucian to back off here. The level 2 is going to be where the big fight should be happening soon. Little Green is going to get some good damage onto the Pantheon here. His focus here is to make sure he can get to his spikes and his Triforce spike as fast as possible, so he cannot allow Ninja King to stop that at any point.
Yeah, this is kind of where you see the Morgana not exactly work out. Level 1, if you miss the binding, you have no protection for your AD carry. And they can pretty much just walk past you at that point. Thresh taking 2 unnecessary turret shots there. Trying to even up the health bars.
Yeah, Suke definitely wanted to get a little bit, press his luck on that one. Definitely did not pay off. He ends up hooking a minion as he attempted to try to sneak it towards Twitch. A little bit of that extra clip. That's one of the greatest advantages of a Thresh player and one of their biggest weaknesses as well. And you can see why it's, not a huge weakness, but it is something that can be a bit of a bother. I know you personally, Xdon, are a very big fan of Thresh. I think he's your highest points champion, is he not?
I do have fond memories of Thresh.
I might have pressed a bad note there, maybe a little bit of a bad memory, so I'll just forget about it entirely.
I will say one thing. This is still early on in the season, and Guardian could very well possibly be broken. I don't like it on Thresh. because playing in any type of engaged support, your AD is usually not going to be stacked on top of you, and the only way for Guardian to work on Thresh is if he's able to be within those 175
The
units.
hook actually does land, but Suke does not manage to get in range for the flay, and Abe with the black shield knows he was safe, decides not to take the risk. Little Green is going a 1v1 here, but it's about to turn into a 2v1. Little Green now realizes it, and Colby just needs to land the Q. He's going to do so, but at the same time, bot lane is about to get themselves the first blood, or in this case, the second blood in this case, as Thresh does the last auto attack, and at the same time, Little Green somehow managed to get away from the Lee Sin and survived, actually. I thought he was done for sure.
Little Green used his flash when Lee Sin Ward hopped in, so that great summoner blown from the first
Gets
gank
the
on
wall,
Lee,
the
but is he
stun
done?
actually does land onto the target. Lee Sin does his combo. He needed one more auto, but didn't want to take the risk. He keeps his health bar high. Close, but no cigar here. And Ninja, now completely out of mana, is fighting on a Little Green, who is definitely going to continue trying to get to that item spike that he desperately needs. So pretty much the good situation here so far. Anivia actually happens to have more farm than Orianna at this point. So Tupa Ninja is actually having a pretty good situation going on right now. Choco Bear's got some help coming, but does also got not enough, actually. I was leading up to, I thought Ori's Q was definitely going to do enough damage to take the egg into passive. I was going to say, looks like Ori's going to have an omelet, but never mind. You're going to have to wait a little bit longer for the morning breakfast.
I'll say this, for Anubis1, this is about as well as you can play in early game composition. Suke has to be careful he doesn't get caught out here.
Stun lands. Thresh is in a bit of a tough spot. Hopper does manage to hit the bind, and that is Abe grabbing a kill. Lee Sin's got the Q. Kabi, you gotta be careful, man. I wouldn't let your body tell you yes for this one. That might not be in your interest.
Yeah, decides not to go in there. Doesn't fade. Probably the more. Before Thresh got caught out, I was gonna say this is going about as well as it possibly could be for Anubis1. But after that death, the gold swings back immediately. It went from 1k to only down to a 200 gold lead for a minute there. Now, a lot of this is from Pantheon not being top lane. He is going to pick up some of the farm. The gold lead will swing back just a little bit, but a huge wave of pressure just lost.
Right, and at the same time, Yorick is actually getting a lot of this farm to work out again for him. He's got his item spike. Hopper gets caught a little bit here. The spell shield does not land. He's going to take Thresh for a ride. He's now underneath the tower. What a well-played maneuver by Morgana, forcing the Thresh to completely get outmaneuvered there. Ultraviolet now is going to risk his life for one final play. It doesn't pay off, and Abe does go down. Both the bot laners take the risk and get no reward. Very unlucky.
So what I was
situation.
going to say is Anubis1 have played this early game horribly. And that's just it went very.
You feel a little bit of some maybe perhaps some history coming in with that Thresh dive.
That was just the amount of swing there in the past 2 minutes is massive.
Yep, and now it is Never Content with the lead back again, and you could just feel Pantheon beginning to struggle here. He uses the flash to get out of this situation, and Little Green has now once again control of the wave and is going to begin his siege on that tower.
It seems like this is exactly how it started last game.
Yep, but this seems to be a little bit worse for wear, because last time, you know, Ninja actually did manage to get a gank, and the last time he didn't. And last time the previous top player didn't. Blocked. Does manage to survive a little bit longer, but that's so much tick damage, he didn't even realize it. And at that time, Little Green grabs himself a free kill against the Pantheon. You know, that didn't actually, that kill didn't actually happen last time, so this is a bit of a similar situation, I would say.
Taking free tower shots.
He cannot take the lantern, finally does. Sorry,
this is looking like a rough one.
Yeah, looking a little bit more like a repeat. same old, despite the start that they got. Hopper misses the Q. Lucian makes a good dodge here, and Suke trying to remain prevalent in this situation, trying to prevent any type of ground being lost just because Abe happens to be under his own tower still. I think it's mostly freezing at this point, though. Wouldn't you agree?
For the most part, but it's so hard for him to walk into that lane anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Pantheon has that really like super early game where it's like, okay, I can pretty much 1v1 any champ in the game, but it's kind of gotten to that point now where Yorick was even, but now Yorick's massively ahead, has an item over him.
Mm-hmm.
His flash is now back up from that gank earlier from Kalbi. But Lee Sin does have kick. He now has access to Dragon's Rage. Could pull out some fancy footwork.
Hopper's been shooting them Qs, but he's been only catching minions so far. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're absolutely fine. He's now is comfortable in that lane. After Suke basically inted for 2 deaths. Now a gank top side.
And there's no champion in the live can survive that type of
situation. And a misplay mid, and Kalbi goes down.
Yep, and Anubis is all of a sudden coming apart at the seams again. And Tuba is going to try to take a little bit, maybe one for the road. He almost takes out Bear. Abe takes out the Lucian in the one-on-one situation. You know, we're kind of missing some context here. How is all of a sudden Lucian in a bad situation? How did Lee Sin die? We're kind of missing some stuff here, League of Legends. What's going on?
It's just so much happening all at once. The client's finding it hard to pick up everything.
Yeah.
That's how fast it's all going down. Just misplay after misplay, and now you're suddenly early game composition that's supposed to win no matter what in the first 15 minutes is now 3k gold behind. And Little Green's just going to take this tower. Ninja King trying to do something. It doesn't look like it's going to pay off. I think he can still 1v1 him at this point.
Yes, he can, actually. Ninja King is on the run. That damage is so powerful. Health percentage, the Q, the E. That is just so much. And a Pantheon, if everything goes wrong, could just fall apart rather quickly. And for Little Green, this is only another repeat for him, who's got to be feeling pretty great about this Yorick pick again.
What's different between this game and last game is last game you had a little bit of late game reliance. This game, you put all your eggs into the early game basket. Maybe foregoing Anivia. Anivia is doing pretty well in lane, but you have nothing to fall back on here. So when you feel this snowball, it's gonna roll even harder.
Right, and the sad truth is you can't really switch out Ninja King and Tuba Ninja here. Sadly, they're kind of like, you know, they're both doing really. One of them's doing very unfortunately bad. The other one is having a hard time dealing with so much pressure in the mid lane right now. So sending Pantheon mid isn't going to make the situation easier, and sending Nivea top isn't really going to solve any problems. So the inevitable truth is there's not really much they can do here. They're kind of locked into their own kit, and they're locked into their own comp, and that is very unfortunate for them. Hook goes a little short of the tail of the Twitch as he narrowly avoids it. But the pressure seems to still be continuing, and Lucian does happen to still have that farm advantage, and they still have a chance to hold out this mid game. Let's see what happens in the near future. For Anubis, his chances are starting to look a little bit more bleak, but it's not over yet.
I mean, I'll say this: since Lee Sin did have ultimate, since he has access Dragon's Rage, he was only able to get a little bit of pressure off mid. Ended up dying under tower for it. Hasn't really looked at any lane since. His lanes still do have all of this setup, and only bad thing though is actually no mid and top don't even have flashes, but we do see a play bot side.
Decides to use his ultimate, does stun, keeps the Lucian standing still. The Lee Sin completely forgets about King Gwynbot, and King Gwynbot's gonna make him punish for that. Twitch grabs himself an extra kill. That's 2 kills now, and it looks like he's about to catch a third one as the unfortunate truth. All 5 members at bot. Thresh grabs himself a kill. Pantheon wants to grab one way. He's gonna risk it all for the biscuit, and he does not get it. Choco Bear stops him.
He misclicked onto the Sejuani instead of queuing the low health target.
You can kind of feel perhaps a little bit of tilt setting in, a little bit of doubt and fear starting to rest inside the minds of Anubis here. They're starting to lose a little bit of faith in themselves, and that tower goes down so fast that the first auto attack after the charge doesn't even get the chance to hit by the Herald. Oh, looks like they might have gotten the catch. They do take out Choco Bear, who was back in a fully warded control ward bush. A bit of a mistake on that part, but it is an acceptable loss from what I can tell, or at least they're okay with it.
I was a little confident back in there on top of the pink ward,
Yeah.
basically taunting the enemies to come at you. I will say this though, the 5 kills that they do have would be a lot better if Suke wasn't actively trying to last hit some of these.
Oh yeah, and not to mention the fact that Anubis definitely is in the tightly corralled situation. I don't even know what's going on in the communications right now, but you gotta feel like there's something you can still do about this type of situation, and I hope
Well,
that...
at this situation, what you feel mostly is just panic. You pick the early game comp. You have to do something.
Right.
Otherwise, you will just lose to a Twitch ultimate, or really anybody, whether it's the
Mhm.
split pushing with Little Green, whether anything really, a
Right.
huge Oriana ultimate. Something has to happen, but you have to be pretty precise and maybe slow things down for a second so that way you can make the right play.
Well, at this stage here, I don't know if that's entirely accurate what I'm about to say here, but we're about, 75th of a second. Oh, sorry, 75ths of a. 75% of early game is already nearly over, and we're already getting close to that 20-minute mark, and that's where our mid game starts to come around, and that late game champions start to get a little bit of the spoils of war. And speaking of that, bye-bye, Anivia. No egg passive on that one. And goes down super easily thanks to that well-placed bind and very high damage from Twitch. It's almost like everything is snowballing out of control. Everything's barreling down here. And I don't know what the plan of attack here from this point is, because the early game's almost over, and they did not manage to get what they want out of every single maneuver. Pantheon goes down rather fast, and it looks like Thresh might follow through as well.
Right now it's kind of just lack of communication. Everyone just walking into the jungle. There's no objectives there. They already took the blue. Wolves aren't that important.
Right.
You don't need to die.
I know, and they're definitely making a decision to just let the game get out of their hands and just hope they can make a catch somewhere here or there. But it's definitely not. It's not really working out right now. They do manage to get the well-placed bind, but Tuba moves out of his own ultimate, which means the play he just set up is sadly canceled out immediately. Which means the catch that could have possibly turned the game and given Nivea a huge couple of kills has backfired against him. And now they're looking at possibly a catch. They're waiting for a play here. It doesn't seem to come around. Yorik's about to rotate back to the top side.
Yeah, really, I mean, we talk about collapse. Just pressure on the map as far as just plays made. The entire game is pretty much collapsed at this point. The only hope Anubis can have is to possibly secure vision in a pretty objective, important area, and just pray that somebody walks into it alone.
Mm-hmm.
They do have the champs, which they pretty much permanent lockdown with the hook, Anivia, just a lot of CC if they were able to get somebody picked. So something you need to look at for them, for at least to try and stall out this game, is to maintain vision control, but not die for it. It's kind of like walking the line.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I understand. And it's definitely getting completely, out of control for them, for sure, though. So, people in the chat are now starting to say, hey, what is Anubis, what are they doing? Like, what are they going for? What's their plan?
Well, if you watch the first 4 minutes, it was a great strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, had a 1k gold lead, they were doing really well, all lanes were winning at one point.
Mm-hmm.
At 4 minutes, all lanes were winning. But it just
Then
snowballed so fast.
Then one mistake here, then another, and another, and another, and everything starts to pile up, and then all of a sudden, everything just gets right out of their hands. And now they have complete control of the early game, and it's about to be... The early game's about to end pretty soon. I would say at the 20-minute mark is when it's usually over, so their early game plan is almost done. So they're going to really rally around Anivia and hope they can get some sort of play with Anivia to make some, get Anivia into a very strong position. To perhaps rally around that might be their best chance to maybe get the play they need to win the game. They do have one very strong champion. Let's just see how it works.
Well, at this point, Anivia's not even strong. She went for the CDR boots. She has a tier and a Roa stacking up.
Mm-hmm.
At this point in the game, she isn't strong. She's doing very little damage.
Right. That's absolutely true. Definitely going with a more tankier option for survivability. And it is doing it's doing a pretty good wonder for Anivia. It does happen to have the highest farm out of everybody in the whole game right now. But, as you said, it's not that much damage. So let's hope that a couple of kills, maybe even a couple of lucky kills, can really swing this back for Anivia. And maybe give him a chance, like a once-in-a-while chance, to kind of get their chances back together. But it is still looking awfully the same. The only difference here is Yorick is no longer getting the inhibitor here. So, let's see what happens now. The Baron has now come up, and I think at this point you can't really talk about early game anymore. So, let's see what happens at this point.
Just have Little Green here
Ultraviolet is
showing
caught
off.
in here. He does use the dash to get out. Little Green, he's going to commit all of his resources to try to make this catch happen. He's going to get stunned. He's going to get shot at. But this man's going to eventually be able to get gunned down by the Lucian. He does slow him. Thresh does not want to take it, but finally
He ends up taking the kill.
He
It
ends
hurts
up-
to watch.
He ends up taking it. He didn't want to. You can see it in his eyes. He just didn't want to take it. The Flay just did too much damage.
And so here's the same thing that happened last game.
Yep.
They go after Little Green once, immediate Baron call from the rest of the team. It's sitting now at 3k health. They're waiting for the Lee Sin Q to wear off. Will they be able to secure the smite here? It looks like they will. The Q does land. He goes in too late though.
Just a second too late, and that's just kind of the details that Anubis has been feeling. Anyway, Never Content is going to try to take one kill for the road. They're going to try to fight their way out. Instead of retreating, they could lose the Baron. And wait a minute, Abe actually does kite the wall, hugs it, but it's too late. Ninja finally managed to get out of this situation. If I was them, I would try to get out. But it looks like they want to take Anivia out as well. They know they can do it since there's only 2 members alive. The bind barely misses Ninja King. And Little Green on the rampage is trying to take out Thresh. The slow misses. Hopper has enough mana, but it is Little Green that makes the circle to stop his momentum. And Pantheon is out, and 2 members still have Baron. They're now sieging the mid tower as Ninja is the only one defending it until Lucian and Lee Sin arrive.
I was gonna say if they manage to kill everyone with Baron, the
I
Baron
thought-
doesn't even matter, but
Oh, well, bye-bye.
Ooh.
Looks, whoa, did you see that one little guy? He flew. That was amazing. He flew.
this is just...
Yeah, this every single, it's so like, oh, can something go right? Can't we just get one thing to go right? You can kind of feel it in the way that they're playing, that they're thinking this way, but it's just not happening. It's so close, but they just can't seem to get even one thing to go well for them. They had their catches, but then Thresh ends up taking it. They had their plays, but then the enemy runs out. It's like everything they try
And
to ignore.
as Lucian goes for a blue buff,
And Abe catches
you
him off
can't
balance.
even get that. You can't even get that.
And there's Twitch just making the easy catch on that one. Just takes a quick trip, knows he can burst anybody in there, figures out it's Lucian, and well, Ultraviolet Snacks ends up getting taken out of the match for that one. The bind, oh well, the blast cone, but it looks like Morgana they got a catch, and they're gonna give it to the Lee Sin on that one. I honestly would have tried to give it to the Anivia, but it looks like they just wanted to secure a kill since they got it. People in the audience having a little bit of their criticisms here. They're definitely looking at the situation like, dang, if only they could have won that early game. Dang, if they only were able to win those lanes. This could be a very strong, passionate 23-minute game for them. But anyway, this is the strategy that I was assuming they would try to do here. Just make Anivia Oh, Little Green's in a bad spot. Little Green's going to end up going down here, and Tuba gets the kill. So that strategy I was mentioning actually seems to be working. At least that one worked for Tuba, as he does seem to be a very strong anti-pusher.
Well, Little Green does need to understand that he's not tanky right now.
Oh,
He does have the Ninja Tabby, but against magic damage and even physical, really, he's not very tanky.
No.
So trying to go up against anyone more than one person, he can't do it.
Oh, definitely not, but he definitely has a new plan. He's going to go with the Sterix gauge. Hopper looks like he got cut out again. Nowhere to go. Is trying to wait for the wall to come down. The Thresh Lantern is being used here. The ultimate by
Huge
Ariana
shockwave.
does do a lot of damage, but it looks like the Twitch is being set free, and Pantheon has absolutely no chance in the world to take out a Bay here, as he looked like he didn't even hit him once. But as we do know, he did try to get a stun off. Bye-bye, Suke. Oh, no, Suke.
Misery on top of sadness. It's just...
Seeping over. The momentum is just beginning to fade. Like, they get something, they're getting something out of it, but they're just not capitalizing on it as well. And it's really unfortunate for them. King Gwyn's gonna try to catch out Tuba, but Tuba Ninja is gonna manage to save himself and keep this situation alive. He's kind of their only chance and the only one that's keeping this game going from this point. Anyway, Little Green should take this tower here. Bam! Takes it out from a ton of turret health. I think it was about like 800 left, and just one-shot it there. Anyway, I like our critiquing here so far, folks. I very much like the strategic ideas that are kind of being passed around here, folks. Really appreciate it. I like it. They're kind of bringing up a lot of awesome points, honestly, and I appreciate that. You know, it's good to think about why teams are winning and losing and what they could have done better and done right. So, really appreciate your guys' perspectives on this. Ham the Bam. Even if they had the best comp, they are way too outclassed in terms of skill, according to Ham Bam. What do you think?
You see Twitch opening up onto Thresh here.
I
I don't... Oh, shockwave landing. It was kind of a weird spread out engage.
And it's almost like they were separated even though they were in the same lane together. How does that even happen? They're in the same lane, yet they look like they're still split like a banana. How is that even possible?
It's just... You're gonna look even worse when it goes this bad. So a lot of this isn't directly saying, oh, this player is bad. At some point, their champion just isn't able to do anything.
Right. Yeah, and I agree with that assessment, because it's like, you can be the best Anunu in the world, but if you're up against a Vayne player who happen to also have, like, a whole bunch of true damage, and just able to get all these attack speeds off, eventually something's going to give, and the Anunu, despite how tanky or how AP heavy he is, the Vayne is just the type of champion to kill tanks. So, under that, guys, it's like, no matter, like, it's a hard assessment to gauge skill, is my opinion on the assessment anyway. Because it's like champions usually just beat other champions, and this is the type of situation where I see this champion beating the other one if circumstances come around.
We do have Baron spawning up here. We'll see what's able to happen. They are running as a 5-man unit over to that Baron. If one of them can get a pick, there's that glimmer of hope for Anubis1. Is it going to happen with 2 inhibitors down, especially on the side of the map they want them to be down? I don't think so. But you gotta think about the positive, maybe the potential.
Anyway, I'm starting to see some chats as well here. Bottom line, this is still a fight that they're kind of waiting for. I know Never Content definitely does not have the type of they don't like their engage opportunity in this situation. They definitely don't want King Gwyn to be completely isolated with the wall that Anivia could place. So it kind of comes down to what they're gonna do. Here is the wall that they were talking about. He jumps over the wall to prevent himself from being caught any further, And the Baron still seems to be that situation. Little Green, oh my goodness, Ultraviolet is taking half health. He's not even getting hit by Yorick anymore. Those are just purely his minions. Oh, the Orianna ultimate takes out 2 members, and it looks like it's about to take out 3 members. And that should just about be the game here, folks. I don't think there's anything left in the Anubis tank to bring out anything left into this matchup here. They're going to rally themselves out here, and this should be the final play by both sides. That is going to be a lot of Nexus damage, and the game is over. Never Content wins it, and that is going to continue their win-loss ratio.
Yeah, GG's to Never Content there, picking up the clean. I'll say it's a little rusty to a victory there over over Anubis1.
I see your assessment. I can agree with that. There definitely was situations where they kind of let a little bit of that early game not go their way, but they kind of wrapped it up. They put it in a bow, and they were good to go.
Yeah, that was just such a weird game to watch if you watched it from start to finish.
Yeah.
Starting off, you see this huge early game powerhouse in lane composition from Anubis1, and it starts off really well. They go get the huge level 1 invade, and they do well in lane bot, and top lane got a gank, mid's winning in CS. Everything's going well, and then it kind of just death. One person got caught out, one person dove tower.
One person happened to take blue buff and got it stolen from them by the Twitch. It's just
yeah, it was just mistake after mistake after mistake, and it just kind of snowballed. And I'm gonna be honest, Never Content didn't do too much, in my opinion, to beat them.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of just it felt like Anubis outplayed themselves.
Yeah, it's like their team comp in a way made they kind of shot themselves in the foot, and they just kept running with it. And
it's not like we saw any huge binding gauges. It's not like we saw Kingwin get an insane ultimate on a prime member. It's not like Choco hit an Orianna ball and got an insane shockwave.
You're right, exactly. And I'm honestly going to give the honorable mention of my personal opinion, although it doesn't matter because we're still doing the POTS Player of the Series. But my personal opinion, I'm going to have to give it to Tuba Ninja 3000. Sometimes when you have a team around you that kind of struggles a little bit and has a pretty bad game and is unable to kind of rally around themselves, it's good to show that you can still, despite the bad conditionings that you're surrounded with, to get a good game out of it. Even if it is with a bit of a solo queue type of mentality, you can kind of see Tuba in the Nivea and the Malzahar, although with a little bit of he had to keep up with the mid laner last time, but this time it just seemed like he was kind of ahead of his opponent, and there were no pieces around him that can really give him a chance to keep the fight going, and that's just kind of how the cookie ends up crumbling. So I'll give him an honorable mention for that game too. I think he kind of deserves it. But
yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at some statistics here before we go into the player of the game. See if we can sway some people's mentalities on who should get player of the series, the POTS. Who should get the POTS? Now, let's take a look at the snowballing that we were mentioning earlier. They did manage to get that little bit of that lead, and that's that 1,000 gold lead you were talking about, 5-minute mark. But then the first kill happened. Twitch got a kill. Twitch got another one. Then he killed Lucian. Then Yorick got another kill. Then Sedge got a kill. Then the kills just started to come in over and over and over. And you could just see towers falling. And then it just got so much out of control when it just seemed like a really good start for them. Just missed opportunities, just kills just would slip out of their hands and people would die. And it's very, very unfortunate. And you could just kind of gauge that from the bar. But let's take a look at the statistics here. It looks like 46 wards from the Sejuani. Very good job. Much more improved from the last game, for sure. 46 of it, in fact. That's very good. Gonna also say as well, looks like 27 from the Morgana and 29 from the Thresh, 26 from the Lee Sin. Interesting statistics indeed. But let's take a look at the damage chart here. Twitch obviously did the most. Yorick did 16. Pretty solid. Anivia seemed to do 15. Pretty good from what I can gather. Once again, The damage to towers by Yorick has gotten to 14.2. Damage to turrets. Mwah. Beautiful. Mwah. Beautiful. Complete control of the situation and environment. And it looked like that's how you would want to have your top laner be. So it just seems like maybe Yorick might be the new season 8 dominating force, the new face of season 8. Maybe might be speaking too soon on that regard, but it will be a nice fresh set of pace here to see something new, and Yorick definitely seems to be the new guy on the block. But before,
Well, I mean, it seems like if you don't find a pick that you're going to be able to play into the Yorick, it's going to have to be banned permanently.
oh
I
yeah,
don't know why it wasn't banned game 2, but I guess they had a lot of faith in the Pantheon. But you gotta respect it. I know
yeah.
it's hard. I know it's hard, but you gotta respect it.
Mm-hmm. While we're still basically waiting on, while we're still at this point waiting for me to finish the pots here, just want to point out that just little reminders here that Natsu's got some advertisement that he wants you guys to take a look at as well. So don't ignore it. He's our boss. You gotta at least take a little bit of a look at his own channel on Twitch. I know I have. It's pretty good content from what I can tell. I hope you guys could think the same thing when I tell you about
We're
it.
not being forced to say this. This is our professional
Oh,
opinion.
You
Giving
know,
it to
not at
you
all.
guys.
Not even a little bit. Yeah, it's fine. Okay.
Ah, don't hit me. Okay, sorry, I forgot to mute my mic. Okay.
Yeah, right? We're good, yeah.
Okay.
Whew.
No, seriously though. I mean, as you guys saw in the chat earlier, 150 followers. We're doing a giveaway. There's gonna be more games. Try and get your friends in here. It's gonna be a good time. That'll be going on pretty good. Check out your boy Natsu if you haven't already. In all seriousness, great guy. I've known him for a while. Been
Yeah,
in
same
multiple
here.
leagues together. I keep finding this guy. It's annoying. Can't get away from him. But
He
okay.
has my number. He knows my
But
address.
back on to the more important issue.
The straw
pots.
poll. Here you
Player
go,
of the
folks.
series. The polls where the straws come out.
Yep.
This
and
is
I'm
what
gonna go ahead and place
this
my
is what
vote
matters.
personally. You guys will be able to look at it as well. Here you go. Here is my vote. Let's see what everyone else thinks. Everyone seems to be voting for Abe here. As the votes are starting to chime in here, you might want to drop one of your own, Xdon. See if you can maybe sway the votes a little bit as well. Little Green seems to be getting a couple of votes at this time. And it does seem to be a little bit on the low scale for the voting averages. I'm kind of curious to see what other people are thinking. 6 votes currently at the time. Let's see. It seems to be neck and neck. No one seems to be thinking Kingwin Bot, Choco Bear, or Hopper happens to have any reason to be an MVP.
Carried all of them.
Right? Thank you very much for dropping the match history in case anybody is curious to take a look at it yourself. It's in the Twitch chat. But anyway, back to taking a look at the votes. Little Green seems to have 1 extra vote, 2 votes. The bringer of the new season is now currently ahead in the player of the series right now. Looks like the votes are still in that favor as Choco Bear is getting some votes as well. Might be able to put his hat into the ring. So, this actually brings up a very interesting thing, because we're both casters here. I want to know, how do you feel about a person who plays the same champion twice in the series and does really good twice with them, but do you think they deserve an MVP or a player of the series because you played really good twice with a single champion? I mean, because the point is,
If you play really good, no, that's not the only justifiable reason. But when you completely change the way the enemy team is thinking and the way the enemy team is playing and putting entire disarray on the map, confusing pretty much everyone, because not a lot of people play into split push strategies nowadays,
right.
let alone pull it off pretty well. When you impact the game that much as a player, that's when I think you deserve MVP.
Well, it seems like the voting is saying the opposite of this case. Tied up right now between Abe and Little Green. Might have to take a separate voting here pretty soon, as I'll now be counting down the last 30 seconds to see who will be the final pick here. I'll do this countdown right now. 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5,
42.
4, 3, nice try, 2, 1, and it looks like we have a tie here, folks, which means we now have to do a revote between these two top tier voters. So now I will go ahead and set up another vote for you guys to do, and let's hope this straw poll will give us a completely definable pots. Here we go. Man, I wonder if they're having a chat right now between the two of them.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I give Little Green a lot of credit. Definitely played very well that game. I haven't talked much about Abe. Abe in both those games popped off with about over 10 kills in each game. That's not anything to scoff at. He definitely played very well. Positioning-wise, don't think he really made too many mistakes. Understood when he needed to go all in the game one in the Soraka Alistar lane, or in the Soraka Tristana lane. Understood when to go in, understood when to back out. Definitely is up there for how much damage he was able to put out in those team fights, and that he was able to secure the kills in the manner that he did. So, a worthy opponent, to say the least.
A worthy indeed as an ADC. Okay, so for this countdown now, since we have about 5 votes in, I'm going to go ahead and count down from 15 and see if anyone can make the big difference at the last second. When I say 0, that is the official end, and that person will be the MVP. So here we go. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and Abe is our pots of this series. Alright, Abe, you have won the MVP, or in this case, the player of the series. Let's go ahead and get you in an interview, man. Congratulations, you earned it. Let's take a look at what we got next for you guys as well. The interview coming up pretty soon. But anyway, folks, thank you very much for watching. That was a pretty strange encounter, but Abe has won the MVP. So let's go ahead and bring him in and see what he's up to. You ready, X-Don?
Absolutely.
Abe!
Hey, what's up?
Hey, baby! All right, sorry, a little bit of bad humor. Congratulations, man. Your team seemed to be actually your team in a certain sense might be content with that victory in a way. What do you think?
Yeah, we definitely were content with that. You know, we didn't really want to show too much because we have a couple of big matches coming up in the next 2 weeks. So kind of played our just like a late game style and kind of just let the enemy make mistakes that we could capitalize on.
Well, it was certainly like you were able to survive a lot of fights. We got a couple of questions for you in particular. I'm going to start off with that level 1 in game 2. What happened there? Like, what was the mentality? What was the shot calling for that when all of a sudden Sejuani ended up isolated?
I mean, it's pretty dumb. Basically what happened is that the extra speed boost that you get at level 1, I think it kind of threw us off just a little bit. And it was just a little bit that it kind of caused the Sejuani to die. And ultimately, like, you know, like, we didn't even flinch. Like, we knew our win condition. Like, all right, so they get a kill. Like, they're a little bit early in the ahead in the early game, but that's okay, you know.
Right.
Like, they drafted Lee Sin, Pantheon, and Lucian, and they didn't have like a solid front line against Twitch. So, you know, honestly, we just didn't even flinch. We were like, all right, next time we play, let's not do that. But that's it.
Okay, I can I can pretty much respect that type of idea. So I want to also talk about your top laner, which, again, sorry, this is an interview for you, but I'm really curious about the Yorick decision. So Yorick, this is his first time ever actually being in a Darkstar Gaming event. Like, this is the first time he's actually debuting, and he actually completely dominated the top lane. So what does that mean for your team? Does that mean we're talking like a brand new, never content Season 8, brand fresh new style? Or are you guys still like just developing some other strategies and stuff like that? Like, what's the idea with that?
Oh, so we have quite a few good things to show you guys over the course of the season. Yorick was just one of them. Kenny as a top laner, or Lil Green, in a lot of the LCS tournaments that we've played in, like, no matter who he's against, he usually smashes them. So we knew that if we drafted like Yorick, a strong split push threat, that we could just 4-1 very easily.
Seems to have worked consistently so far against Anubis. Wanted to ask your opinion on about your performances in Game 1 and in Game 2. Did you feel like you were playing right around your statistical average? Do you feel like you're having a good day, a bad day? What's your opinion on that?
Well, I had the flu, so I don't think I'm playing as well
man,
as I
they're
should.
making you play while you're sick? Wow.
I think they asked if I needed a sub, but I thought that I could manage. But ultimately, I felt like in
Braving
game
it
one-
out.
I felt like in Game 1, we could have played a lot more aggressive bot lane, punished a lot more things. So in Game 2, I was just trying to kind of shed that mentality that it's a tournament game, we should play safer. So we put me on Twitch and kept looking for solo picks. So I was able to play quite aggressively there. So I'm pretty happy about that.
So final question for me, Exxon, you got anything in particular, or?
Not too much. I just want to say, great couple of games. I mean, the kill counts in those games were absolutely massive. You were at the top of the damage boards for both games, so doing your job as an AD carry 100% of the way, especially in the Twitch, just catching out Lucian at that blue buff, that was just tragic for me to watch. I think a tear rolled down my eye. It was just, yeah, I just want to say, absolutely amazing games. Definitely deserving of the POTS award, so good job.
Thank you.
So anyway, this being said, the final question I would have is, so you said you have some interesting games coming up into the future. So those interesting games mean that you definitely have some good motivation in your future for things like that. There are times where a team is having a little bit of struggle in particular. So one thing I have to note, and one thing I would ask of you is, what do you think is making Never Content work? Like, what do you think, if you can label all of it in particular, which I won't ask you to do, if you think out of everything you have, what is the one thing that sticks out about Never Content?
I think it's a lack of ego. We're 5 good players, but we don't have an ego. Like, if you need to put me on Sivir, I will play Sivir. I don't need to play a hard carry every game. If our jungler is very mechanically talented, if he needs to play a tank, he will. Same thing with our top, mid laner, and support. So ultimately, like, our goal is just to win, and it's not even that. It's to get the enemy nexus. So whatever the best way to do that is, every single person is willing to do it. Like, we ultimately, like, as a team captain, what I've tried to do is build a good team culture. We don't rage at each other. Even, like, the Sejuani thing, like, nobody flinched. Literally, it was just like, all right, so Sejuani got caught out level 1. We all messed up. It wasn't just a Sejuani, right? We messed that up as a team. But it's just a lack of ego. It's a lack of tilting, no flaming. Like, whatever happens, happens, and we just try to improve as a team.
Okay. Well, I think that's a good. I think that was a good sentiment and a good way to end off this interview. Ladies and gentlemen, Abe, the ADC of Never Content, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, the door's right over there if you want to see yourself out. But thank you very much. Wow, he just flew out the door. Okay. Well, anyway. My name is Army Overlord. I was your camera guy and your play-by-play caster. Or was I? Wait, were you doing that?
No, you're good.
Okay, okay.
Army, great job as always. Fun casting with you, man. I'm Xton. We were here casting for Dark Star Gaming. Hope you guys hit the follow button. Hope you guys stay tuned with us throughout the weeks. We're gonna have great games coming up. Gonna have a great season, hopefully. So, cross your fingers. There'll be more.
Just so you know, everybody's clear. In case you need another small reminder, Exxon already said about the 150 followers giveaway that Natsu is trying to advertise. But just so everybody's clear, we are going to get around to that giveaway soon with the way the followers have been coming around. So I'm waiting for the rest of you guys to give me them follows so we can get that giveaway coming soon. Maybe we might be able to get 150 to 300 thanks to all these giveaways. But any more details, simply ask in the Discord. Anyway, folks, I think that should just about end it. Good night, everybody. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time. And by the way, next time is going to be tomorrow. So see you tomorrow. Good night, everyone.